Hello, folks. How are you guys doing? My name is Charul, and I'm glad to be back with yet another conversation on test prep by InsideIIM in order to help you all give the much needed push to your CAT 22 preparation. And for that, today I have with me Soumadeep Banerjee, who had scored a 99.69 percentile in CAT 2021 and will join IIM Ahmedabad now. Thank you so much, Somadeep, for making time for today's conversation. And without further ado, I'd request you to please say hello to our audience and then let's get started with today's chat.
Hi everyone, thank you. Like all the best for your cat. Feel free to drop in any questions that you want to ask. And thank you, Charul, for having me. Yeah.
Yeah. Somadeep, I'd request you to please tell us a little about your background, your profile, where do you come from?
So I'm a mechanical engineer, graduate from Jadavpur University. After that, I have almost 4 years experience in oil and gas sector, in both in a design role as well as in a big operations role. And yeah, this year I'm going to Ahmedabad.
Yeah, great. So we'll delve into your preparation strategies as we move ahead. So before knowing how to deal with the sections and all of that, people are now more intrigued to know that is it even possible for them to crack CAT if they start now or if they have started in June 2022? Because if there's no use, then according to them, there's no reason for them to know any solutions for it. So what is your opinion on it? Do they have enough time to prepare for CAT 22?
Yeah, in fact, I think it's definitely possible. In fact, a lot of people actually start from this time and usually catch up from this time. June, July onwards, people actually start getting really serious about this exam. Really,
Yeah.
put in that extra amount of effort. Even those people who have started from April also and March also, I can vouch for that. They are also not prepared also. Okay, so no need to think that you are kind of, uh, you are not prepared or something. Just pick up, just take a diagnostic mock at this point of time. Probably the best would be to, take a previous year's paper, see where you're standing, and then based on that plan and then move on. Definitely, it's possible.
Right. And if you can share, when did you exactly start your preparation?
In fact, I'm a retaker, so I took CAT 2020 last year. I
Sure.
had around 97.5 percentile. So
Mhm.
last year I had started around May, like May 2020, and this year, so after April I started.
Right. And you were also juggling your job alongside, right? So it was not just
Yes,
CAT.
yes, yes,
Right.
yes. Then.
So, I mean, people now want to know that, as you said, that people generally get serious. And when you say that they get serious, it generally means that they start taking mocks and the entire preparation seriously. But what happens is that the mock scores are not consistent. I'd want to understand from you that what efforts they can put and what strategies they should come up with in individual sections, in all the three sections, to, bring some parity between the mock scores.
In fact, this is the time when there will be two sets of people. One set of people who would be having their mock scores stagnated at a point, and the scores would not be increasing beyond a particular level. That is a one kind of frustration happening. And the other sets of people where the mock scores are really fluctuating. Somebody in some mocks they are like scoring really high, in some they are scoring really low. So this keeps on happening. So the
Right.
real way to improve on this is that to analyze your mock properly. And if I go by the section wise for VRC, you have to you have to read each and every RC, each and every paragraph again, and to understand whether your understanding of the main idea really matches with the explanation that is given to every single question. If not, then probably you have to think about whether you're going, in a good way of attending that particular stuff, whether you're actually understanding the text properly. The same holds true for the quant. The only way to improve marks in quant is to find out an alternate way of solving. Okay, and
Right.
that alternative way of solving comes in when you analyze your mocks. For every single question, in fact, even a question which you have gotten correct, you need to sit down and try to solve it without timer. You need to spend as much as 5 minutes on that on every single question, and have to see whether you can solve that question using options or using say prime number concept, using odd even concept. So there are different ways of solving a particular question. You have to see whether you can actually really reduce your time for solving that particular question. So it's by which you can increase your score.
Right. And can you suggest some strategies for LRDA as well, specifically?
For LRDI, personally also I have struggled a lot. So LRDI, the only way to go about is go about the past year's question papers as well as past year mocks. You will find, in the groups or in the Telegram, whatever. Pick them up, solve all the sets for yourself, by yourself. Don't look at the solution at the very beginning. Try to solve them. Spend as much as say half an hour every single set. If you aren't able to solve in that half an hour, then only refer to the solution.
Right.
And if you feel that a particular state is somewhat different, somewhat interesting, somewhat different, then probably note it down for the future reference, and revise that particular state every week or every month, whatever, as per your schedule. I think that is the way of doing stuff. I did the same thing, and I my score. But yeah, I think this is the only way of improving it.
Right. Also, like Somadeep, as you suggested that you were a CAT retaker, so you must have analyzed, right, that what were the mistakes you must have done in the previous CAT attempt, which made this attempt work much more better. What was it? So, what did you do differently this time?
In fact, the last CAT, the difference between the last CAT and this CAT was my DLR score.
Hmm.
The last CAT, my percentage, DLR percentage was around 84.9 percentile. So I wasn't able to solve even one particular set, one single set. So this year, as I said, I made it a point right from the beginning that I would solve every single set that appears in not only this year's mock but also in the last year's mock. And I noted down, several questions, several sets which I found them to be very interesting, very difficult. I noted them down, and then I revised, keep on revising. After the ILS score is still low. It's 97.2 percentile, but still, I think that improved a lot. That is the only difference that you know that I can see if I consider CAT 2020 and CAT 2021.
Right. And were you struggling like this, the problems you had in DILR last year as well? And I mean, I want to know the difference which came in the attempt you took in 2020 and 2021. Exactly.
So last year I was not solving a lot many sets. So DLR is all about solving as many sets as possible so that you get familiar with the different kinds of logics or different type of concepts that can be thrown up in a particular set, right?
Right.
So this year I referred to a lot of diverse sources. Okay, 2, 3 coaching institutes, 2, 3 different sources from where I can. So after finishing them, I had an idea about actually being thrown up in a particular exam. I was familiar with the kind of logic that could come in an exam. So
Right.
that is something that I think really worked for me this year as compared to last year.
Right. And I am really intrigued to know how did you manage your job and CAT prep alongside, how you used to manage your time, because people generally ask these questions about if they should quit their job or how to balance both the things alongside.
In fact, I used to say never quit your job for CAT because CAT is a very unpredictable exam. And
Right.
secondly, you get scores, you get some brownie points for having a work week, right? So why
Of
would you
course.
quit that? So they never quit your job. There is always a way of dealing both. Uh, in fact, I was a person who did not have a you know you know a single like a fixed schedule for his job. Right, I used to
Hmm.
work in shifts, and my shift would keep on changing every single day.
Hmm.
In fact, tomorrow I don't have any idea today. Like that was the kind of uncertainty that I dealt with. So what I did was I had some list, some to-do list that I have to finish. That this many questions I have to finish, this many sets I have to solve. Like at the end of the week, I
Hmm.
have that list and I keep on ticking that list as I finish it. So in between, whenever I get time, I get on it. I get on my preparation and I keep on finishing those tasks.
Right.
So if I were to say, I never had a timetable sort of thing, a fixed timetable sort of
Hmm.
thing. That is say today from this time to this time I'll be doing this stuff. No, but I had a to-do list. I kept on finishing it, keep on reaching the targets, and yeah, that's how I managed it.
Right. And other than that, like as you said, you used to analyze mocks thoroughly, all the three sections. So I'm really interested to know how did you do it for all the three sections? Like, let's start talking about VARC. You suppose that you scored low in a particular mock, then what used to be your plan of action?
So BRC is a section you have to deal with the strategy of attending that section. Like some people start with RCs and then move on to BA. Some people
Right.
start with BA then move on to the RC. The idea of writing mocks, especially in BRC, is to sort out what strategy actually works for you.
Hmm.
Okay. I tested a lot of experimented with a lot of different strategies in my mocks, and at the end of the mock I saw what was my percentage accuracy, how many questions I was able to solve in that particular time.
Hmm.
I used to compare that with the previous mock where I took a different strategy. So based on that, I would decide on my strategy. That is the strategy part. Other than that, coming to the questions, as I said, I used to read all the RCs again. I used to see whether my understanding of the main idea is actually matching with the explanation given in the particular question.
Right.
And for that, I be done right after you finish a particular mock because you know what logic you had applied while solving a particular question. Because if you otherwise, if you analyze that mock after say 2 days or 3 days, then you tend to forget what logic you had applied while solving it.
Right.
So that is the suggestion that I have, and that is true for RC as well as BA. For
Hmm.
BA, like a lot of people think that even I used to think that for parajumbles, it's just a fluke. It is not a fluke. Every parajumble has a particular logic of doing that. You have to identify that logic and you have to work on that logic. And that logic you can only get while analyzing it. So that is the thing that you can do in DRC part. Now moving on to DILR, as I said, solve every single set without looking at the solution. Spend as much as half an hour on a particular set. Try to solve it. If you are unable to solve it, then only refer to the solution. And if you find any state to be very sort of different concept that you have never heard about or never have encountered
Hmm.
in the past, then probably note it down in a diary or somewhere and keep revising that. This is the
Right.
thing that you can do in DLR. The quant, as I said, you categorize the question into four main categories. The first category wherein wherein the correct attempts, wherein and the time taken is less than say 2 minutes. I think those are the questions you can actually leave. I think you have done a pretty good job. Second segment comes to the correct questions, correct attempts, but the time taken is more than 2 minutes, say 3 minutes or 4 minutes. For those questions, you have to think the alternate way of solving it. Whether you can
Hmm.
solve it through options, whether you can solve it through, as I said, different strategies are there. You have to sort
Right.
out those strategies. You have to find out an alternate strategy, like what went wrong, how you could have done it in a different way. And the fourth would be the left out ones. Here also you can bookmark certain questions that you feel that are very difficult or very some very interesting or very difficult from your end. You
Hmm.
can bookmark those, you can revisit those. So that is the way of doing that.
Right. And do you used to benchmark a particular score for every mock? Was it something like that that you set a target for yourself?
Actually, I did it. For 2 hours mock, ideally you should benchmark like at 100 score. If you are
Hmm.
more than 100 score, then I think you are doing a pretty good job. You have to like keep on improving it. If it is like below 100 but more than 80, then also there is potential. You have the potential. I think you have to see, as I said, how to solve a particular question in a different way. That is the a lot of people would be, would have their score stagnated between 80 to 100. This is the range that, last year my score was stagnated in. And the only way out is analyzing your mocks and getting the way out, different way out. Uh, but I would end this by saying that every mock is actually the purpose of the mock is to equip you with a different set of questions, different the different difficulty level of the questions. Okay,
Right.
so lot of times we see a mock to be very difficult, a particular section to be very difficult.
Hmm.
So, for example, say in a particular mock, quant section may be very difficult and a BRC may be very easy. So, don't get disheartened by your score in that particular mock. Okay, that is what I am saying. In the second mock, it can be a case where the BRC becomes very difficult and the quant becomes very easy. These are the mocks that are simulated how the exam can going to be. Okay,
Hmm.
so don't take the mock scores too seriously, but at the same time, keep tracking the mock scores where you're standing. I think that's the only way to go about it.
Right. And also how this analysis process, the thorough analysis which you did, helped you on the final day. Were you able to see a stark difference between your previous attempt and this attempt because of this analysis?
Yeah, in fact, as I said, in the ILR, I was, in fact, there were 5 sets, and I was familiar with all the logic of 5 sets. Of course, I couldn't solve all the 5, but I was much more, less tensed and pretty familiar with
Hmm.
everything. Like in the
Hmm.
paper, I was very well composed and calm. So that was the difference as compared to the last years and the these years. Last year, in fact, in DLR, I was very tensed. I couldn't solve a particular set. I was just moving from one set to another set. I did not college category, whether it comes to BRC or DLR or the phone. That was the difference, I would say, between the two atoms.
Right. Also, like you said, you were very much calm this time because generally this happens. What happens is that aspirants say that during the test they were not able to attempt a particular question, but during the analysis they were able to attempt all of them. So how do they, keep their calm and like perform better during a mock?
So understand is CAT is as an exam is essentially testing your class 10th level skills.
Right.
So if you are given say infinite time, you would be able to solve every single question. So that's it. That's a given thing.
Right.
Okay, the real thing what CAT tests is whether you are able to solve it in a given time. So that's a time management thing with what comes in. Also as I said, whether you are able to leave out the difficult questions, whether you are able to keep the easy paper is consists of easy questions. You have to pick up those easy questions, and if you are able to solve them correctly, then you are sorted. Then you are 99% plus. Okay, so that is the skill that you have to pick up in the mock while writing in the mock. It's okay if you are unable to solve while in the mock, but pick up those different type of questions that appear in the mock. Try to get familiarized with it, and as you eventually come close to the day, your score is definitely going to improve. Don't worry about it.
Right. And did you also have like some bad days when your mock scores just dipped or some particular patch? Because this generally happens that during for a few days or like say weeks, the score goes really down.
Mhm. Yeah, so for me, the scores were really fluctuating. In one mock, I used to score around 130. In another mock, I used to score around 70. So that was the kind of difference that I was dealing with. But yeah, as I said, I never a tool to enable me to to enable me to equip myself with a skill in a better way. That's it. Mock is
Right.
just a tool. Don't take it seriously, or whatever you are scoring in the mock has no correlation with what you will be scoring on the D-Day. So that is the thing that I always kept in my mind. And yeah, so that was how I was dealing with.
Right. And like this is a little general, like different question, but it's generally said that people who have a little low ACADS or average profile cannot make it to the top IIMs. Now, when you see people around you, you do have a peer group in IIM A, like say. So I think you must be having very different examples of people who have made it to the school with low ACADS as well. So, what is your opinion on this notion?
First of all, I would ask you what do you mean by average profile?
Of course. I mean, yeah, people have different parameters for deciding that, okay, that these are the CAT scores, like say 999, or because people judge differently. Like if you have certain PORs, like say on your resume, generally what I have seen is that people do not understand the definition of profile in the way I am tested, because in my like knowledge, it's just about your 10th, 12th work ex and your undergrad and your CAT score, of course. So I want to know that I want you to tell this to people and the aspirants out there that what is the importance of a CADs and profile in one's CAD journey.
So at this point of time, you can't do anything by thinking about your past. Whatever has happened has happened. That is the one thing that I would start by saying this. The second thing, definitely people with low accounts make it work. If you so I am a person with 889.
Hmm.
That if I can make it, in fact, I would say here the board which boards you have first found, that also matters a lot, because they also do a lot of normalization. Because I am a guy from state board. Okay, there are boards which wherein the people don't get marks. Okay, you can't compare them with somebody passing out from CBSE or ICSE, right? So that is the difference that you have to keep on mind. But I would say that admission process is fair everywhere at every IIMs is fair, even at IIM Indore, which uh, which has a lot of weightages in
Academic,
the
yeah.
10th, yeah, academic weightages in 10th and 12th, has this normalization thing in place, which will take care of this issue. Don't think about this at this point of time. In fact, just to give an example, this year, uh, a guy with say 10 CGPA in CBSE and less than 95% in 12 from CBSE did not get a shortlist from 8, 8, and 9 get a shortlist from Indore. I have converted that as well. So that is the normalization what comes in. So don't think about this at this point of time. Just keep working for the CAT. Everything else will be taken care of.
The one thing they can work on right now is just CAT.
Right.
Nothing else. Everything is out
Absolutely.
of scope.
Absolutely.
Right. Also, Soumadeep, since as you said that this is the time when people start getting pretty serious and they are about to complete their course like almost in a month or so, what should be their revision strategy from now on? I want to know that in detail.
So I already said about the diary, right?
Right.
Diary that you should maintain while analyzing your LRTI or quant. You should revise that diary, revisit that diary probably every single week. Okay, depending on your schedule, of course. So that is what you should be doing. For VRC as such, there is nothing called revision.
Right.
Many articles as possible. One thing to mention here is that for VRC, apart from solving questions, the most important thing is reading. Okay, if you don't read, your scores are not going to improve unless you are someone who have been reading novels right from the childhood. Okay, you have to read articles and pretty high level articles from Aeon essays, or there are specific sites for that.
Sure.
You have to read articles on every single day. That is what will build you stamina for sitting down in front of the screen, read say 2,000 words. CAT, if I consider a CAT section, it requires you to read as many as 2,000 words. Okay, and then after that analyzing them and solve the questions. So that stamina will you can only build after by reading articles. So that is something that is should be constant over there. And yeah, so as such revision, if you consider in DRC, there is nothing called revision. You have to just
Right. Also, I want to know that what used to be your plan of action between two mocks per se. Like you said, once you did analysis, now what learnings you used to pick up, how you used to do that, and improve before the next mock so that your score improves.
okay. The first thing is strategy.
Okay.
As I said, mock is a tool wherein you can build your strategy. What strategy is actually suiting for you? That is something that I used to really compare between the two mocks. If something is not working, probably I would keep the strategy same for 2, 3 mocks. I'll see how the square where the score is going. If the score is going up, then probably I'll keep that strategy fixed. If it is going down, dipping, then probably I would think of another strategy. This is something that I did. And second thing I did was I noted down. I kind of noted down the kind of mistake that I was doing, whether it comes to mainly the quant and the iler. Do by silly so-called silly mistakes. So those things need to be eliminated as much as possible by the time you move towards CAT. So these are the some things that I used to keep in mind, and then used to benchmark myself based on the two mock scores.
Right. And did you use any sort of, Excel sheet or pen copy, to make that tables which people generally do? Did you have any such tool?
Yeah, so as I said, I was comparing the scores, right? Scores section wise as well as the total like overall
Right.
score. So yeah, I built a normal Excel sheet wherein like I made columns for the RC quant and the error and the overall score, and then I plotted a graph for that. So it makes things easier, right? It makes your job easier to make it gives it enables you to get a picture where you are going, whether it's keeping track of.
Right. So, Somadeep, I would want you to please, guide our aspirants that what should be their ideal strategy for the next 5.5 to 6 months in order to, prepare well and ace CAT 2022.
So, if I have to say about section wise for DRC, as I said, reading is a must.
Hmm.
If possible, try to do as much as 2 hours of reading every single day, no matter what you do,
Hmm.
no matter how busy you are. So that is something that you have to do. Apart from that, you can probably write 1 or 2 sections a week as far as the DRC is concerned, because the strategy becomes very important over there. Okay, how would you solve? Whether you solve RCs first, whether you solve DA first, or whether you solve one RC, one DA, one RCs, one DA. That is also a way of doing going about it.
Hmm.
That is one thing. I think by this time you should be ready with that your diary thing. So keep revising your sets
Hmm.
and solve as many sets as possible. That is the only thing that I would say about DIR. And for the quant, try to you know see alternate way of doing stuff. Every single question that you see from now,
Hmm.
see whether you can solve by the options. See whether you can solve by different so-called jugars. There are some jugar methods
Right.
wherein you can just solve them without even applying the concept or applying the formula. So try to go about it. Try to innovate those methods as much as possible. That is the only way of doing that in the next 5 months or
Hmm.
so. And the mock are going to be your most important tool, single most important tool that you are going to have. Just keep writing mocks, analyze, keep writing mocks. This is a cycle that you are going to do, and hope that this is your score by the
Right.
time you hit the cap.
Also, like Somadeep, other than mocks, people keep collecting a lot of resources, and the problem with resources generally is that there's no dearth of it, but actually abundance of it. So, would you want to suggest some specific resources for all the three sections so that people do not hover around here and there and focus what is really important on?
This is a really important big problem when it comes to cat. There are
Right.
so many resources in the market. I would suggest whatever you pick, stick to that. If I consider quant, if you want to do the basics, pick a particular coaching institute, finish that book. You
Hmm.
don't need to you know uh, look into other materials. Okay, without finishing a particular one, just finish one. You are good to go. That's
Hmm.
all. As far as the DLA is concerned, I think it's just the opposite thing. You have to do it. Don't keep solving similar kind of sets. For example, say arrangements. Don't keep on solving same sets. Same sets, like more number of sets of same type.
Hmm.
It would not help. Try to solve as different variety as possible. Okay. So my suggestion would be pick up the past year's mock, pick up the past papers, and to solve them as much as possible. As far as the VRC is concerned, I would say don't refer anything. Just read.
Hmm.
That is the best way of doing that. And apart from that, you can take mocks. You can probably take few sectional. That's it. I think don't refer to any material for VRC. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you so much. Okay, so lastly, Somadeep, I would want to know some of your mistakes which you have done in the journey of 2 years of taking CAT. What are those mistakes?
The first one would be as far as the DRR is concerned. In the first year, I did not look at the variety of the sets. So I did the same mistake as I said, in the previous question. I solved many sets of same type, but I did not cover the breadth of
Hmm.
cover the depth, but I did not cover the breadth. So that was the problem for that I really had. And the second thing, in the initial months, very initial months, I used to struggle with BRC. Because I was not doing the reading. A lot of people keep on solving RCs, people keep on solving BA, thinking that their scores are going to improve. But they don't understand that BRC is a section that tests their reading skills. And unless you read on every single day, your scores are not going to improve. So this is the first first thing that I struggled when I started CAT preparation. So I am going to say this to every one of you. So read as much as possible. That is the only way of doing that.
Hmm.
So this is the two main mistakes or main things that I want to say to the aspirants at this point of time.
Right. So, Somadeep, now that you're finally converted, I am Ahmedabad. What expectations do you have from your future, and what are you? How you are looking forward to what the future holds for you?
Future is future, right?
Yeah,
Let's focus on the present.
sure.
So yeah, so the next 2 years, I'm looking forward to extract as much as possible. That's the first thing. 2 years MBA, like as an MBA, not it changes you as a person. So
Hmm.
that is the something that I'm looking forward to. And at IIM Ahmedabad, my peers are going to be like they are going to be really good coming from diverse backgrounds. So that would be a great learning for me as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that's it. So regarding the future plan, what would I do? As I said, future is future. Let's focus on the present right now.
Well, I hope and I'm really sure that it will be as great as your percentile for sure. And yeah, thank you so much, Somadhi, for your time and insights. I'm sure that many of the bugging queries got addressed in today's session. And to all our aspirants, the prime phase of your prep has just started. Put in all your efforts in the coming months and make it to the school of your dreams. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.